Somewhere in a parking lot right now, a 34-year-old woman is sitting in her car with the engine off. She drove there on her lunch break specifically so no one would see her. Her face is wet, her shoulders are shaking, she doesn't quite know why she's doing this. And when she's done in about 4 minutes, she'll fix her mascara, walk back into the office, and pretend it didn't happen. Every adult human on Earth has done a version of this. And here's the part that should bother you. No other animal does. Not chimps, not bonobos, not dolphins, not elephants, not your dog. They scream when they're hurt. They whimper when they're scared. But they don't leak salt water from their eyes because their feelings got too big. Only you do that. You are the only species on a planet of 9 million species that weeps, and nobody knows exactly why. The man who first tried to answer this scientifically was a biochemist named William Frey, working at the St. Paul Ramsey Medical Center in Minnesota in the early 1980s. Frey did something nobody had thought to do. He had volunteers watch sad films, then chop onions a few days later, and he collected both kinds of tears in tiny vials taped to their cheeks. Then he ran the chemistry. The tears from the onions were mostly water and salt, standard. The tears from the sad films were different. They contained significantly higher concentrations of 3 substances: prolactin, a stress hormone, a CTH, another stress hormone, and leucine and kephalin, a natural painkiller your brain produces when it's overwhelmed. Frey's conclusion was elegant and a little disturbing. Emotional tears, he argued, weren't just water. They were your body literally excreting stress, like sweat, like urine. Crying was a chemical dump. For 30 years, that was the dominant theory, until people started actually testing whether it was true. A Dutch psychologist named Ad Vingerhoets at Tilburg University has spent his entire career on this question. He runs what's probably the largest database on human crying in the world. And Vingerhoets discovered something Frey didn't expect. Crying doesn't actually make you feel better, or rather, it does, but only sometimes, and only under very specific conditions. Lauren Bilsma at the University of Pittsburgh ran a series of studies in the 2000s asking thousands of people in real time how they felt before and after they cried. The result was clean and brutal. People who cried alone, on average, felt no better afterward. People who cried in front of someone hostile or judgmental felt worse. Only one group consistently reported relief: people who cried in the presence of someone who comforted them. Crying, in other words, isn't a release valve. It's a signal. It only works when somebody sees it. Which raises the real question. If crying is a signal, what is it signaling, and who is it signaling to? And why did evolution build a species that does this? The best answer we have comes from an Israeli evolutionary biologist named Oren Hasson at Tel Aviv University. In 2009, Hasson published a paper arguing that tears are what he called a handicap signal. Think about it mechanically. When your eyes fill with tears, your vision blurs. You cannot effectively fight, flee, or even see clearly. Producing tears is a way of physically disarming yourself in front of another person. That's the point. Tears are a costly, undeniable signal that says, I am not a threat. I cannot harm you. I am asking for help. And because they're hard to fake convincingly and physically expensive to produce, they're believable in a way words aren't. This is also why babies don't cry tears at birth. For the first 3 to 12 weeks of life, human infants scream without producing any tears at all. The plumbing is there, but the system isn't wired up yet. Evolution doesn't bother turning it on until the baby is old enough to be in social situations where signaling specifically to caregivers matters. The earliest emotional tears coincide almost exactly with the earliest social smiles. Both are messages, both require an audience. So your tears are a message. They evolved to bring someone to you. But what's worse is what happens when the message has nowhere to go. Go back to the woman in the parking lot. She isn't crying to be comforted. She drove to that parking lot specifically so no one would witness her. She is producing, at significant biological cost, a signal evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to summon another human being to her side, and she is doing it in a sealed metal box where she has guaranteed no one will come. Look at how much of modern crying happens like this. Alone in cars, alone in showers, into pillows at 2 a.m., in bathroom stalls at work, in the silence of an apartment after everyone has gone to bed. Adults cry, on average, between 30 and 60 times a year, and a startling percentage of those tears are shed where no one can see them. You are running a 200,000-year-old program that requires an audience in a world that increasingly doesn't provide one. The signal goes out. Nothing comes back. And then you wonder why crying alone doesn't actually make you feel better. It was never supposed to. Vingerhoets has another finding that's even harder to sit with. The single strongest predictor of how often an adult cries isn't sadness. It isn't depression. It isn't even stress. It's loneliness. Lonely people cry the most, and lonely people, almost by definition, cry alone. It's a cruel loop. The signal evolved to summon connection. The absence of connection triggers the signal. The signal goes nowhere. The loneliness deepens. And you start to suspect that you're broken, that something is wrong with you, that other adults don't fall apart like this in parking lots on Tuesdays. They do. They just do it where you can't see them either. Here's the part to hold on to. Your tears are not weakness. They are not a malfunction. They are not evidence that you can't handle things. They are the oldest and most honest social signal your species has. Older than language. Older than agriculture. Older than the wheel. Your body, at 34, in a Honda Civic on your lunch break, is doing exactly what evolution built it to do. It is calling out for someone. The tragedy isn't that you cry. The tragedy is that you've been taught to hide it. Somewhere along the way, in classrooms and locker rooms and offices, you learn to swallow the signal, to apologize for it, to do it in private and clean it up before anyone notices. We took the one tool our species evolved to ask each other for help, and we turned it into something shameful. Which means the next time someone cries in front of you, you are watching them do something almost no other living thing on this planet can do. They are handing you a signal so ancient and so costly that the only honest response is to move closer, not away. And the next time you're the one crying, alone, in a parking lot, remember what your body is doing. It's reaching. It's still reaching, even when there's no one there. After 200,000 years, after every disappointment, after every empty room, it still believes someone is coming. That's not weakness. That's hope, made of salt water. You're new here. You were never supposed to do this alone.